Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Kramer with MRC-TV. Today we're speaking with Texas Representative Bryan Slaton, who wants to put forth a bill in the Texas legislature that would ban children from being exposed to drag queen shows. Representative Slaton, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So you released a statement with your intent for this ban to move forward in the next legislative session. In it was mentioned that back in 2021, Texas Republicans killed legislation that would have made sex change therapies on minors child abuse. Why was that, and do you think you're going to have any luck moving forward in the future?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why the Texas House was determined to kill that. I think one thing that does play a factor is the fact that in Texas, even though we've been under Republican control for 20 years, we have the practice of giving chairmanships away to Democrats. And so with that, they have more power than they earn on Election Day. So that has to be a factor that, you know, these type of bills were no-fly zones, and they probably were threatening to shut down the whole session if we did that. So I filed an amendment to stop that practice. It failed as well. But this next session, you know, since then in March during our primary, one of the resolutions that were on the ballot for voters to vote for was to end the practice of giving away chairmanships to Democrats. And we had, I think, over 80 or 90% support from that from the voters. So hopefully we can be more successful with that. On our third day of session is when we'll vote on that. And that'll put us in a great position to actually pass Republican agenda. And that's one reason you see Texas falling behind. It took us, 16 years to pass constitutional carry. It's because we tie one arm behind our back, put the Democrats in charge, and then tell the voters to just keep fighting for the next election, just keep voting for us. So I'm optimistic that we can do it because it's a common sense anti-grooming law, basically. That's all it is. I mean, this is about decency. We don't want female strippers dancing in front of children and children putting dollar bills in their underwear. Well, we also should want grown men in women's underwear dancing in front of them and children putting dollar bills in their underwear. It's just common sense.
Yeah, it's good to know the backstory of what goes on in Texas, because I think outsiders are like, well, Texas is so conservative. How is this?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know we do that.
Yeah. Obviously, we have seen so many viral videos on Twitter of children being exposed to drag queen story hours and shows and pornographic material in their schools and libraries. You have tweeted, quote, "We must protect Texas kids from sick adults who want to sexualize them. No drag shows, no porn in their libraries, no gender transition surgeries. Yes to letting kids be kids." I wanted to ask you if you would consider adding a ban to internet pornography in your litany of protections, and if that can't be effectively done at the state level, if we should be pushing for that on the federal level as well.
I'd be interested in doing that. And let me tell you, last session, we were passing one of our main bills out of the House, rural broadband. In there, one of my colleagues who's not going back, they redistricted him out of his district. He filed an amendment that would change the way internet providers worked, where you had to opt in to all the pornography. You know, there at your house, you call your provider, just like we do at hotels, right? Used to, it was just pumping into the hotel rooms, and then laws changed, and you had to actually go to the front desk and turn it on. Same concept. We passed that out of the House, and then in the Senate, they stripped that out. And so, why they did that, you're going to have to ask the Senate. But it was a good amendment. And things like that, ideas like that, are helpful for all of our society, and especially protecting children.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you because, you know, a criticism that you'll probably face in trying to push for this ban is people saying, well, you know, drag has long been used for comedic effect. Think Bugs Bunny, Mrs. Doubtfire. Clearly, these are very different examples than the sexualized, you know, burlesque show that we saw with the "It Won't Lick Itself" written in neon on the wall. But how difficult is it going to be in crafting a measure defining the difference of what children can be exposed to?
Well, we're looking at 3 to 4 different avenues right now, and we have lots of people calling us with more ideas.
That's
and so
awesome.
we're actually trying to figure out exactly what it's going to look like when we get in session. And yeah, of course, there is things in theater and other things that have, you know, men have dressed in women's outfits, you know, White Christmas and all that. And of course, that is not on anyone's radar.
Yeah.
No one came to this conclusion. No one called our office and thanked us or called our office and was mad at us because of those type of things. This is about the sexualization of children. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want anything to happen to children. We all agree pedophilia is wrong, right? We don't want that to happen. Human trafficking is horrible. And a big chunk of human trafficking is people who engage in that are wanting to have sex with minors. We have predators in our society that are targeting children. Then you take this drag queen with children. What that's doing is it's teaching these children that the red flags, the concerns, and their innocence, that instead of being concerned when an adult is being inappropriate with them, it's basically teaching them it's okay for someone to be in their underwear next to me and ask me to touch them or dancing in a certain way. That they're going to think it's okay. And so we have to correct things on the adult side, the bad actors that are trying to harm children, and on things like this grooming type activity that's teaching children has nothing to do with their development and where they are in their child development, but it's teaching them not to be concerned about inappropriate behavior from adults.
Yes. I feel like we have to end up seeing these viral videos and be in a state of outrage for lawmakers to then take action on these issues. Do you think that we're way behind the 8 ball when it comes to this wave of sexual anarchy in our culture? And how do you propose that we move forward?
Yeah, we're absolutely way behind. 20, 30 years ago, the group NAMBLA, North American Man-Boy Love Association, wanted to normalize the relationship between grown men and children, and that's been the case since they've existed. And as back then, it wasn't called the LGBTQ agenda, but as this type of agenda progresses, they've always said, no, we're not wanting to go at kids, right? This is just about two consenting adults in their bedroom in their house behind closed doors. That's the way they got us to this point, is telling us that it's just this, just that. But then now we're here and they are going after our children. Not all, but some are. And so I would say we're definitely losing. There's no question about it. In Texas, 6 years ago, the Republicans were considering taking up a bill called the bathroom bill to keep boys out of girls' restroom. Republican leadership around the state said now is not the time. So they didn't fight on that issue. And look at where we are just 6 years later. We've clearly lost.
Yeah.
We're losing every day because the left is committed to their agenda and their ideology. They're focused on implementing their godless agenda in our society and public policy. And we have Republicans, conservatives, Christians who simply think doing nothing is a wonderful strategy. And then mixed with that, we have had pretty much no leadership behind the pulpit.
Yeah.
Where we're at as a society is, in my opinion, primarily on the pastors in our country, and next on the fathers in families. We need family units. We need families, fathers being leaders of families, and we don't have that. We don't have strong family units. So the way we fix this is the church. The pastors are going to have to literally wake up, stop worrying about a new building, stop worrying about their retirement, stop worrying about their pay, stop worrying about a lot of things, and they're going to have to focus on what's at hand, and that the left is absolutely unraveling the fabric of our society that our country was founded on. And so that's how we're going to do it. And then I'm just wanting to put things in public policy in my position as a state rep that exemplify, morality, our Christian values.
Yeah.
And we got to have more legislators willing to do that. And so those are the ways we're going to fix it. And I think we can, I hope we can, but we have to realize our strategy as Republicans has been very weak, and Texas is a great example of what weak Republican leadership has been for about 20 years.
Wow.
We've had no reason to not advance our agenda, and we find reasons not to all the time.
Yes. I think, first of all, I loved what you had to say about spiritual fathers and domestic fathers and how important that is for society, but also, as Christians, pushing religion into the public square, because liberalism is a religion in and of itself. and they're definitely asserting their views.
It absolutely belongs there. Aristotle talked about this, about how virtuous people, they're the only ones that can make a virtuous economy and a virtuous society. You can't have immoral people make a virtuous economy and virtuous society. I mean, in government, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to have virtuous people make everything we do be virtuous. And that's a word we don't use much, and we need to use it more as we discuss public policy and our interactions with one another, is virtue. And it's just pretty much void, like the leadership behind the pulpit.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you giving us your time.
Yes, good to meet you, and thank you.
Thank you.